Hey there, I have here the LEGO City Center mini dump truck. This is a set that I used to have as a child, and I got it again as an adult to live those feelings of nostalgia and share them with all of you. So I did get this set used, of course, since it's way from 2000. So it's been a little while, 24 years to be exact. Let's see what we have, and we'll look at these brochures and manuals at the end, because as usual I will build things without the instructions. I hope that all the pieces are here. I did not check them in advance. I was going to start with the minifigure, but when I first touched these tires I found that they were a bit sticky. I don't know why, so I had to wipe them off a little bit. But now let's have a look at the figure and then go to the build. So there's only one minifigure included in the set, and this may have been my first minifigure ever. So he has some printing only on the front, not on the back, and of course nothing on the sides, and no alternative expression because he's wearing this white cap, and there's no alternate hairpiece because they really didn't do that back in those times. The print on the torso looks nice, and it has held up very well with time, with those nice metallic stripes there, and I didn't realize that LEGO was doing this way back in those days. That's pretty cool. And he's wearing these dark gray gloves, and I like the smiling expression on his face. Yeah, lots of memories flooding back with this guy. I remember I was taking my version, I was like changing his face with like a marker or a Sharpie. Yeah, yeah, this guy, the other version of him that I had, went through a lot. Yeah, we're done with the build. Yeah, this was a lot easier for me to put together as an adult compared to when I was a kid. I remember when I was a kid, this took me a little while to figure out. I don't know if I used the instructions or not, but I do remember that it took me a little while. And even though there's like this one piece here that basically is used for the chassis, it's not like multiple pieces that are brick built, which is what LEGO tends to do these days, except for the very, very young sets intended for 4+. So it's very small, very compact. There's a little bit of blue here and here. Everything else is yellow and black, so the color scheme is consistent. And this dump truck can actually dump things by just lifting this a little bit, and then whatever's in there will be dumped. So there are no pieces that are used to... There are no extra pieces included that we can use to practice dumping, so you have to use your own pieces or just use stuff that's not LEGO, like rocks or pebbles or things like that, and then you can dump them out. I'll use this just as an example. So you could basically dump something out. You can also do this and like dump it like from the rear. If you're really fast, then you can make this very funny. Yeah, like that. And here's what this looks like with the minifigure inside. And what I've been noticing is that this whole area right here is very blocky. There are no lights, there are no extra details, and I know LEGO, even for a set designed for kids, they would include more details here. But back then, that was less of a priority. The focus was much more on play, build something quickly. There's only 24 pieces here after all. So build something quickly and play with it instead of having something that's really impressive for display. So this is obviously a toy. It's not even trying to be a display piece, and that's fine. It's a perfectly fine toy, and I enjoyed several hours of playing with this as a child, and it was great to build it again and relive those memories, especially the minifigure right here. For whatever reason, at some point I got bored with this dump truck. I took it apart and I used the pieces to do other things, which is the right thing to do with LEGO pieces. You don't just want to have the main model and then you never build something else out of it. So I never rebuilt the dump truck after having built it the first time, but then I did keep the minifigure for many, many years afterwards, and he went on lots of stories and adventures. Maybe those will be told at a different time, so make sure you're subscribed to it so that you don't miss that. But the dump truck itself, I remember like taking it apart soon after building it. So yeah, that's my look at the dump truck itself as well as the minifigure, but we're not done because this set also came with some additional documents. I want to take a look at those right now. I have not looked at these before in advance. I just know that they exist, but I did not see the contents of them. Let's start with this. This is the instruction page, or instruction sheet at the time. You can see it's very simple. I will point out, however, that these pieces right here do not exist anymore, at least not in black. But again, I will point out for these instructions, even if you do use the instructions, it's a lot more concise than what kids use these days. So here you build the whole thing. There's 24 pieces and you build the whole thing with 6 steps. If it was today's instructions for 4-year-olds, they would do 24 steps with like the hands and like one piece here, and then you attach them one at a time. But I can remember even as a young kid, I don't know if I used the instructions or not, but I do know that if I used them, this would have been very easy and obvious to me. And so I really wish that LEGO would go back to these more concise instructions where you actually have to do a little bit of thinking to find the difference between this one and this one, find the difference between this one and this one. I think that's a lot more fun, entertaining, and challenging than literally take this one piece, put it in your hand, and then put it exactly right here. I think that's too simplified, and it takes the fun out of building, in my opinion. Well, what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. So yeah, this is the instruction sheet. And by the way, notice that there's no part list here. You just have to know that there's 24 parts, you count them, and that's it. We have here this Star Wars brochure. And when I was a kid, I don't know if I paid attention to these. Probably I just threw them all out and I focused on the LEGO pieces themselves. Okay, so there's LEGO Star Wars. I was not into Star Wars back in those days, so none of this reminds me of anything. Although, looking back, I wish I had gotten some of these sets back then, because now they're almost impossible to get. So these are the very earliest Star Wars sets. They don't look that good these days, but they're there for except for the nostalgia effect. Like if you were there at the very beginning, then you might want to get these just to relive those nice memories from back in the day. This, I'm much more familiar with the Lego Soccer. I remember we had either this set or a set that was similar to it, with like these specific pieces and the soccer balls, and we were playing. I don't know if we ever built this whole thing as it is, because I think my parents got it secondhand. But what I do remember is that we did have these pieces, we did have some of these minifigures, and we would play soccer, and there's like a spring-loaded thing. That might be, I might show that in a future Throwback Thursday if I ever get my hands on these again. We have the Arctic theme as well. So this is also something I don't remember very well, but I do think I remember seeing these in stores or in magazines and things like that. So this is kind of familiar to me a little bit. The Robo Riders, I don't really remember anything about Robo Riders. I was much more into Bionicle, and that one came, I think, the following year. So that was where I really started getting into these kinds of sets. The Knights Kingdom doesn't really mean anything to me. Good sets, but I just don't remember them. The City Center, well, I don't remember all of these sets, but I wanted to have the fire truck, because I always loved fire trucks as a kid. The Adventures, I don't remember these from back then, although I do have a more modern version of the Dr. Kilroy minifigure, and I got that with the Natural History Museum last year. And I don't remember the race theme either, but these look pretty cool to me. So if I was a kid back then, I'd probably want to get maybe this Robo Rider, because I like blue and maybe green. I would have definitely wanted to get the fire truck, and both of these racers. As a kid, that's what would have attracted me the most. As an adult, I still think I'll take one or two of the Robo Riders, because I just like to have them and understand what Lego was doing at the time. I would like to have this castle, because this castle looks impressive to me in a retro way. Of course, now Lego's castles are much more sophisticated than this, but it would be nice to do a comparison between this castle and the Mine Knight's castle, for example. And of course, I would like to have all of these Star Wars sets, because these are just amazing, including the ones shown up here. So that's what I would like to have. Oh, but wait, there's more. There's this third brochure here, Join the Lego Club Free, because this is the precursor to Lego Insiders Kids. Back then they used to call it the Lego Club. Let's see, what do we have here? So join it for free. There's 12 new issues of Lego Mania magazine, 6 per year. So apparently at the time there was this Lego Mania magazine. I don't know if it includes any Lego pieces or if it's just a magazine with paper. I remember back then the internet was not the way it is now, so a lot of the things that you get online these days, you would need the Lego magazine for that back then. Because just to download one image, in those days you'd wait for like 1 hour just to download this picture, for example. So magazines were a lot more relevant in the early days of the internet. And so one kid can join for free, but if you want to have additional kids join, it's US $9.75. On the other side, we have a description of the Lego Mania magazine. So here's a close-up of one sample page. This looks like it's for the Adventurers. And we have here some, like, what a Star Wars set would look like in the hands of kids those days. And it's saying here you could win sets like this, so even back in those days you could participate in contests and win sets. And then you could also see the creations that kids have made. And back then Lego was not for adults, at least not officially, so everything that Lego did was only for kids, no adults allowed. So I'm glad that now Lego is shared for both adults and kids. And as a bonus, they give you some instructions, very quick instructions to build this thing. With this set, they really didn't need to do that, but if you have your own pieces, or if you buy one of these Star Wars sets, then you can use these instructions to build this. So that's on top of all the stuff you could build with the official sets. So very nice brochures to get, and you get all this with this 24-piece dump truck. Nowadays, Lego does not do these brochures anymore, obviously. You just have a link to lego.com, kind of like here, and then just go there and figure it all out. So yeah, that's my look at the Lego dump truck, little trip back memory lane, and yeah, I had lots of feelings building this set again. I didn't realize how delicate this would be. I thought it was a lot more. I thought it had a lot more friction. So I'm reliving the past and re-remembering it and looking at it in a new light. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you all in the next one. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Bye bye.